This is a big year for the USHL. And one of the guys that really has risen up my personal board after a lot of uncertainty at the beginning of the season is Michael Hage. And, I mentioned he had a really tough fall classic, and that kind of got him off on the wrong foot. But really, since then, he's been outstanding. And I've seen a lot of games from him where he just impacts the game in a number of ways. And I think he's got a great skating ability. He's scoring goals more frequently. He's scoring big goals. Chicago really struggled at the beginning of the season. They've improved their game over the last little bit. And so I think Michael Hage is a big part of that. And I have a lot of time for the player, for the, what he's been through as well, losing his father tragically this summer in a swimming accident. What kind of impact does that have on your mentality, your priorities and different things like that? I mean, you can only imagine. Family should be a higher priority for him right now, and different things, but it's also this critical moment in your life, and you've got to kind of deal with this great personal tragedy and heaviness. And the fact that he's not only been able to play through it, but to embrace hockey in the way that he has, at least the way that, he told our Ryan Sykes. There's a great feature story on FloHockey.tv from Ryan Sykes on our USHL page, where, he goes in and says how much more he appreciates going to the rink because it is an escape from what's been a very heavy year for him. And so, you wonder how much that's going to play a role and how much that impacted his early game. But he also was injured for a long time last season and missed most of last year and kind of had to start from behind. And when you're a 16-year-old going into the USHL, it's hard enough, but he was coming in at the most critical time of the season for a team that was, in the playoffs and battling for position. And even when Macklin Celebrini was out of the lineup for a little bit for the World Under-18s last year, and that they needed that boost. And so we'll see what Michael Hage ultimately does and where he goes. I think that he's probably a late first round pick still. I think it's possible, on our rankings, he was 23rd. So, that's another thing where he certainly could rise up. But I thought at the beginning of the season, he was settling into that kind of good second round pick kind of player, the kind of guy that you think probably middle six. I think there's an outside chance that he's a top six scoring threat. And that's where you see those guys go later in the first round. And so that's where I think he'll ultimately end up.